You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk.
Welcome to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Night Nation's only call-in show goes live now.
Orlando, this is Andrew Phegley, and this is Knightline at Night. We're live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barlaw, assisting injured veterans get the help they deserve. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036, or visit protectingvets.com. You can also call Travis Dever for all your new Smyrna Beach real estate needs, 386-690-1636. We're taking your calls, though, 844-580-9326, 844-580-9326, or use the open mic feature in the WDBO app. Once again, I'm Andrew Phegley, AP_Knightline on Twitter. I got Big Ben Stout here with me. Welcome back at Big Social 32 on Twitter. And then Roger Phipps at Night Bengal on Twitter from the Santa Rosa Beach studios. You can find all the rest of our content on nightlinesports.com. Ben, I got something for you here.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Feeling the love. Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
It's been a long time, man.
It's
Jeez.
been too long. I'm glad to join you guys again.
It's crazy. All right.
You just came back because basketball season's coming up.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we are going to start talking about that soon. I don't know if we'll talk. Well, we might say something about it on this show. We're definitely getting into that on the podcast, though. Knightline Podcast. You can find that everywhere you find podcasts. We're talking about the UCF football game from yesterday, though. 14-10 win over Tulane. Not a bad game, in my opinion. A win is a win is a win is a win. I don't care how it's done. I don't care how many points it's done by. Just win the game. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I was telling you before the show. I mean, 14-10, you kind of look at that from the outside and just glancing at the score, it may not be very, it may not think it was a very exciting game, but being there last night and watching the game, and I'm sure anyone who was watching from home, I mean, it was a very exciting game. It was kind of back and forth, very defensive-minded, but there was a lot of exciting plays in the game, and it was fun to watch. I mean, it was about as fun as a 14-10 game could be.
Absolutely. Mikey Keene did actually pretty well, 19-25, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. Here's the big thing, though. No interceptions. He did fumble at one time, but no interceptions. That's a big deal for him because he's been throwing one pretty much every game.
Yeah.
In fact, I think possibly this may have been his first game without one. So that's a big deal.
And he made some big plays when it counted, right? Especially towards the end of the game that kind of roll out of the pocket, and he found Brandon Johnson down the field. I mean, he made some big plays when it counted, especially in that game.
All righty, here's what Gus had to say about the game. Gus Malzahn, UCF's head coach, after the game.
Hard-fought win. Hats off to Tulane. They're not a 1-8 team. They're a talented team. They had a great plan. Our defense played outstanding. I mean, I'm real proud of them. I think 5 sacks again. Just did a super job. Our special teams probably had their best game. We were very stressed about that kick returner. He's dynamic. And, of course, that last Baker made the tackle in the open space right there, made a super play. I think we downed the football on the 1-yard line. That was a huge play in getting us field position, especially at the end, and just did a good job on special teams. Offensively, it was ugly at times, but our guys found a way. We had the touchdown call back. That was a momentum killer. We didn't get any points out of that. That was real tough. And I'm real proud of our offense from the standpoint they hung in there. There wasn't a lot of good things that were happening. They hung in there, and they made the play at the very end, hit Brandon right there. We did the kind of the stack. We've been throwing out the perimeter on that, and Brandon sold it really good, and Mikey made a good throw, and we're 3-0 in the second half. That's the bottom line. I'm real proud of our team. College football wins are hard to come by. Our crowd was outstanding. I mean, our crowd willed us to win again, and it's just been so impressive. It's an unbelievable home field advantage, and really appreciate our fans.
All righty, pretty you mentioned it earlier, a defensive game.
It was, yeah.
Man, I am so proud of our defense coming off of kind of a difficult, season in the beginning. but man, they have turned it on and really become very stout against the run and honestly during the pass as well. Michael Pratt did not do well. He's a great quarterback. 17 of 28, 147 yards, got sacked 4 times. So our defense really has turned it on. They rushed for a total of 173 yards. So, a net, I guess, of 132. So that's, not great, but for them, that's a lot less than they normally rush for, I believe. So
yeah, as we're watching these games and texting back and forth as we always do, the three of us over the last couple of weeks, I've said, the defense really seems to be buying into Travis Williams' scheme, and what we've also seen over the last 2 games in particular is they really seem to be buying into Travis Williams' energy, like the kind of identity of Travis Williams is kind of been instilled in this defense, and they're really taking to it and playing excellent over the last 3 games especially.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, defensively, I mean, I think, Ben, to your point, the biggest point of all of that is that they're not playing as much zone anymore. So with them gaining confidence in the quarterbacks and defensive backs and being able to play man and man press. They were playing man and man press quite a bit. That allows us to load the box a little bit more and get that pressure that we were expecting. So, early on we weren't getting hardly any sacks, and now the last 3 games we've been averaging 4 sacks per game. So that's not indicative of the pressures either. There were 9 quarterback pressures as well. So when you're disrupting basically 12 plays out of 60. I mean, that's a huge chunk that they're not even getting an opportunity to make it work.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of those have been what they call coverage sacks, right? There's been a lot of guys in the secondary have stepped up. Justin Hodges is one of those guys that I feel like has really stepped up over the last few games.
Yeah. Bryson Armstrong and Tatum Bethune both led the defense.
They're
with
monsters.
Both of those guys, absolutely. Both had 11 tackles. And all year long, both of those guys have been at the top when we look at the defensive stats every week. I'm going to look at the cumulative stats here in just a second. If you guys want to talk about something else, let me look at that, and I'll get some stuff from that real quick.
Yeah, being at the game, I mean, you just mentioned, obviously, Tatum Bethune, you just really recognize, that he's a key contributor on the defense. Even if you're not watching it on the TV and you're actually at the game, you kind of don't pay attention to exactly who makes the plays, especially on defense. But you certainly did last night in Tatum Bethune. He made a lot of big plays, a lot of huge tackles when we really needed it the most, especially tackles for loss.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Go. I was just going to say, in addition to that, passes defended 7. So again, that's leaning on your defensive backs, and they're doing a great job of getting their hands in there and making sure a lot of mistakes from earlier on in the season are gone.
Yeah. 9 games into this, Bryson Armstrong has 77 total tackles. Tackling Tatum Bethune, he has 66. Quadric Bullard is next on the list with 61. Devad Wilson, 47. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste, 34 or 37. And Big Cat Bryant, 33. Then it drops off pretty good from there. But Bryson Armstrong, a kid number 1 that came from the FCS level where he rocked it in the FCS and was one of the better players, if not the best defensive player in the FCS for a while, the last couple of years. And he obviously was able to translate, what he was doing here. So,
and I don't know if you have the clip or you would want to play it, but I think Malzahn called him something like an old school, like smash mouth football player. He's just a football player, basically, is what he called him. It was awesome.
I don't have it, but yes, he did. He called him an old school football player, which he is. He just plays. He doesn't try to do anything fancy. He just gets out there and plays. I wish that we had him for a little longer. I think that he was a grad transfer, so I'm not sure if he has an extra year or not. Mm-hmm. So we will find out.
He does. Yeah, I don't believe he does, but I will tell you this: the switch with now him playing in his position that he normally plays in, it's been a light switch for him. I mean, he was playing a little defensive back there at the earlier part of the season, but now that he's in there and he's playing linebacker, I mean, he has the ability to be able to read gaps and know where people are going. I mean, you saw what he did against Navy as well. So he's got good vision. He understands offenses very well, and he's making it happen because of that.
Absolutely. All right. A little bit of rushing as well from UCF.
A little bit.
Well, it wasn't as much as we probably would have wanted. The offense struggled at times. Isaiah Bowser came out again, kind of nicked up, went to the locker room early, had 14 carries for 57 yards, his longest being 20. Net yards 54, so he had a 3-yard loss. Johnny Richardson, 7 carries for 23 yards. Mark Anthony Richards, who made a really big third down play, had 1 carry for 2 yards. That was the 1 carry that he had in the whole thing.
And he had the block punt.
And he had the block punt, exactly.
He came off
playing on special teams.
Yeah.
And that's pretty interesting because we don't do that very often. That's just not a thing that UCF is big at. In fact, let me get the I saw something in the post-game notes about that, to be honest with you, and it was a long time ago. Mark Anthony Richards scored his first career punt block, the first for UCF since September 7th, 2019. So it's been a while since we did that. It was at FAU was the last time. Andrew Osteen actually had a really good day. Punted 7 times, 295 yards, including the longest of 51. And then down to the 1 at the 1-yard line, which was really good for him.
That was about as clutch a punt you could get, right? Downing at the 1 yard. We needed to pin them back in that position at that time, and he did his job along with the rest of the special teams. We complain a lot about the punting because he's kind of an off again, on again kind of guy. But I think he's shown improvement through the year. There's not as many shanked punts. There's not as many, dead duck punts there. Yeah. And then this one, I mean, where he needed to put it at exactly the time that he needed to put it there, he did. So, good job for him. I didn't realize that their returner is a excellent returner as well. And Malzahn talked about that as well at the post-game press conference. And it's just so in that respect, with a dangerous returner like that, we did well on special teams and Osteen in particular. Absolutely, yes. All right, so we have SMU coming up, which we'll talk about a little bit later. SMU has lost 2 in a row. They were doing really well. They were one of the American teams to be undefeated at one point. Now they've got the 2 losses in a row. It's I don't know about that game for us this week. I mean, it could go either way, I guess. We'll talk a lot more about that, obviously, later. But I wanted to mention that. Hopefully Isaiah Bowser can be back. I don't know the extent of his injury. The guy just, runs really hard out there, leaves everything on the field. It just happens that he gets hurt quite a bit. It's why you can see what he can do out there. It's why he hasn't really succeeded in college football, to this point. I mean, he played in the Big Ten where running backs are kind of king, and was hurt a lot of the time. And this is what we said. I said this from the beginning. Bowser's going to be awesome if he can stay healthy. Yes, yeah. Always the caveat, right? Yeah, from my vantage point in the stands about midway through the second quarter, he took a little bit of a shot to that knee. He didn't seem to react, negatively to it. He popped right up, but maybe that was one of the points that just had a little bit of a tweak to it or something. Yeah, it must have just been a little bit too much. I know that he did go to the locker room early, so I'm sure that they were checking that out, and maybe wasn't horribly necessary to have him out there at that point. So they were keying in on the run in general, right? They were forcing Mikey Keene to throw it, and luckily he did pretty well at that. It was an interesting game the way they keyed in on our offense. All righty, we need to take a break here, so we're going to do that, and we'll be back on Knightline at Night here in just a couple minutes.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
And now, back to Nightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Nightline at Night with you. I'm Andrew Phegley, live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barr Law. Got Big Ben Stout here with me and Roger Phipps talking UCF football 14-10 win over Tulane yesterday. Mikey Keene was 19-25 for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, his longest being 53. Isaiah Bowser was 14 carries, 57 yards, his longest being 20. Ryan O'Keefe, 13 targets, 11 catches, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. Brandon Johnson, 5 targets, 2 catches, and 1 touchdown as well for UCF. Lots of defense played in this game. Bryson Armstrong, 11 total tackles to Tatum Bethune. Man, I almost said that backwards. Tatum Bethune, 11 tackles as well. A sack by Bryson Armstrong, Quadric Bullard, and Corey Thornton in this game. And possibly other ones by other people, because there was 4.
There's a couple of half sacks.
Yeah, there was half sacks there. Yeah, Tatum Bethune with a half.
And
Bryson Armstrong
Trayvon
with
Morris
a half. Trayvon Morris Brash with a half as well. So there you go. So, good defensive play, obviously, by UCF. Let's hear also, though, really a fairly good game by Mikey Keene. Didn't throw any interceptions, I believe, for the first game in his career. Let's hear what Gus had to say about Mikey Keene here real quick.
I think he did some good things. I mean, the third downs, couple third downs, we'd like to have back. There's no doubt in the first half, but he made a really good throw under pressure to Brandon. They came field pressure. We faked the reverse off of it. There was a guy coming. He went to the left, made a really good throw, and of course the last one was excellent. Excellent throw also.
All right. So, yeah, Gus seems happy with what he's doing. I think that he should be. For a freshman quarterback, he has definitely been making improvements, most of the games. Yeah, it got started pretty well. It got started pretty good, and it kind of, leveled off in the middle. But that great long, like it was a 97-yard drive in the middle there, or in the very beginning of the game. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
so.
It was capped off by a couple of big plays, right? You had the 57-yard pass to Brandon Johnson, and then a 20-yard, touchdown pass to Ryan O'Keefe. Ryan O'Keefe had a great game yesterday as well. I think that's a career high 11 receptions for him. So he's been a big top target for Mikey Keene.
Yeah, Ryan O'Keefe now over 1,000 receiving yards in his career, finishing this game with a career high 11 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. It's his 5th of the year. Mikey Keene also went over 1,000 yards passing on the season and now has 12 touchdown passes. Mikey Keene, again, went 19 of 25 and matched his career best with 229 passing yards along with the 2 touchdowns. So good on those guys, for sure. Defensive notes, let's see. Marked the 5th time this season the Knights have held their opponent to less than 300 yards of total offense. All 5 have been wins, as they should be. First time this season that UCF did not force a turnover. That's interesting. No, we didn't force any turnovers. Very interesting. I really didn't think about that until I read that.
Watching it, it's like, you don't really. We wanted a turnover badly, especially in that second half when we lost the lead. But hey, we made other plays that when it counted.
Yeah, Quadric Bullard matched his career high with 9 tackles and had his 2nd career sack. Corey Thornton had his 1st career sack to go with a breakup and 3 tackles. So, they are definitely getting there doing that stuff, and that's a big deal as well. So, all right, time to take another break. We will be right back on Knightline at Night. If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Knightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome, awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Knightline at Night. Andrew Phegley, live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Bar Law. Assisting injured veterans get the help they deserve. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036, or visit protectingvets.com. You can also call Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach real estate needs, 386-690-1636. We're taking your calls, 844-580-9326, 844-580-9326, or you can use the open mic feature in the WDBO app. Once again, I'm Andrew Phegley, AP_Knightline. Got Big Ben Stout here with me at Big Social 32 on Twitter. Got Roger Phipps at Night Bengal on Twitter from the Santa Rosa Beach Studios. And you can find all the rest of our content on NightlineSports.com. Talking about a 14-10 win over the Tulane Green Wave yesterday for UCF. Mikey Keene, 19 of 25, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which was really good for him. Isaiah Bowser, 14 carries for 54 yards. Ryan O'Keefe, 11 receptions for 94 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad, not nearly as bad as the score, says that it is. Number one, it's a win. And there was definitely some defensive action in there. as well. So that's good.
Yeah. The one concern I had on offense really that kind of stood out, obviously the running game's a byproduct of the offensive line, and it seemed like our offensive line really kind of got manhandled during this game. Dorcius, I think, was the Tulane's guy who was an end who kept getting in there. But, I mean, all night long we couldn't create any gaps. Are you guys worried about that at all?
Well, the offensive line has been struggling a little bit recently. It's getting late in the season, though, and this is when, stuff starts to pile up for those guys. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm horribly worried about it. We're winning games. So,
Yeah, I think it was a result. I think a little bit of the struggles in this game in particular was just how much they were keying in on the run game, just trying to stop us from running the ball, trying to make us one-dimensional, trying to make Mikey Keene throw the ball. And so there was a little bit of struggles with that. But, I mean, I know Tulane's 1-8, but they were, I mean, going into this season, they were going to be a team that, could surprise some people, and certainly were supposed to have a pretty good season. They've had a disappointing one, that's for sure. But I remember just as recent as last season, them being very much a team on the rise because of their defense. So maybe it was just a result of the game plan that they were having on us.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it. All right, we have Andrew from Oviedo on the line. Andrew, are you there, my friend?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing this evening?
Good. How are you? What's going on? What's on your mind tonight? I know that there's something.
Yeah, well, I know you guys were talking about how it was a defensive battle, but I was kind of curious of the identity of our offense. I mean, for the past 3 or 4 years, we've been spoiled with UC fast and how quick we can get on the field and score points. Clearly not the case with this new coaching staff, but I was kind of curious do you think UCF has lost that identity, or do you think that's not what Gus Malzahn's identity for UCF is going to be going forward?
Well, number one, I'm going to totally disagree with you. I don't think that it's an identity problem at all. I think it's called a freshman quarterback. I don't think it's a Gus Malzahn thing. I don't think it's anything else but a freshman quarterback and a lot of injuries. Because you saw in the beginning of the season, we were doing the same things basically that we were doing before when we had our entire team and our one of the best quarterbacks in college football. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. Just personally, in my opinion. Ben?
Yeah, I think that the identity is going to be different regardless, a little bit different from what we've had in the past, just when you bring in an experienced guy like Gus Malzahn, but also when you bring in a big bruising back that has speed, by the way, for sure, of Isaiah Bowser. I mean, he's going to, the running game is going to become more involved and dynamic with a guy like that. And as you said, Andrew, I mean, the injuries have hurt us when we talk about UC fast, right? UCF fast. I mean, Jalen Robinson, I mean, he's been out since that Louisville game.
Your best quarterback and your best wide receiver have been hurt. And you saw the offensive production obviously go down then.
Exactly.
I mean, you throw in a freshman quarterback, of course it's going to change.
And then even at the same time, you lose Bowser for a number of games, and still losing him for halves at a time. And that bruising running game really opens up the passing game, and allow those speedsters on the outside to take advantage of it. And so I think that's had a lot of effect.
Yeah, for this team to gain their identity, I personally think if you want to, talk about the coach and all that stuff, for a team to gain the identity of a coach, it's going to take 3 to 4 years to do that, to really do that. Mm-hmm. These aren't his guys. Yeah. A couple of them are. Some of them are. I mean, they're the transfers are his guys. I mean, some of the guys that he brought with him were his guys, but everybody else he just inherited. I mean, this is not Gus Malzahn's real style of football. That he inherited a bunch of guys that were handpicked to play. That this is Scott Frost's and I mean, there's still some Scott Frost guys in there, and then there's a bunch of
Josh
Heupel's guys in there. So, I mean, yes, it's definitely different than it was before. But it wasn't that much different at the beginning of the season. Roger, you got anything to say here?
I mean, as far as points are concerned, yeah, we were right there where we actually commented on the first few games of the season. We were right there where Heupel was and where Frost was. So I think speed of play is a little bit different, and the way that they're setting it up is also different. So Josh Heupel relied on, having everybody out to the sidelines as far as they could and spreading everybody out and just go, 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 go. Frost was a little bit more like Gus in the sense that he had more moving pieces to try to disguise what they were doing. But Gus is going to play more of an SEC style offense, folks, and he can speed it up at times. We've seen him speed it up during games or slow it down depending on what the situation is. But he's going to run between the tackles, and he's going to run with big bruising backs, which is a whole different setup than what we're used to seeing.
And
So
Gus
for me-
also does something that those guys didn't, well, at least that Josh Heupel didn't do. Gus wins the close games most of the time. If you go back and you look at especially Heupel, could not win those close games to save his life.
Yeah, the management at the end of the game, yeah.
Gus
it's
is winning these close games, and really not getting blown out. Like one time we've got blown out.
Against the number two
team in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. That should be the number 2 team in the. Don't even get me started
let's
on
not
that.
Go down that road. We
Oh
don't have
man,
time.
that'll take me a long time. Thank you, Andrew. Though I apologize for not agreeing with you, but I 100% do not agree with you. But I appreciate you calling.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy. All right. Well,
sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. I feel that like people really need to really take a good look and understand what Gus is doing here. I still see a lot of people like, it's different than what we were doing before, and Gus is not a good coach, and you've got to be kidding.
Yeah.
You've got to be. These people, like, they don't know a lot about football.
Well,
I'm not saying that Andrew doesn't know a lot about football. Andrew knows a lot about football, but a lot of these people that just complain and complain and complain about Gus don't know hardly anything about football. I mean, he's one of the top 10 coaches in college football, period.
Yeah.
He didn't get there by not knowing what he was doing.
And he's here not only to coach the games well, but he's here to manage the program well. And you look at the direction and trajectory that our program is going. Do you think that Gus is the wrong guy for that trajectory? I mean, we're about to have in 22, not to look ahead, but we are talking about the future that he's building. We're going to have the highest rated recruiting class ever.
That we've ever had by far.
And we're not even done. We're not even close to done.
Far.
We're not even close to signing day yet.
By far.
Yeah.
Like, not even close
right.
to any of the other ones.
Yeah. And you mentioned the guys that he brought with us. I mean, how many times did you hear Big Cat Bryant? How many times did you hear these other players that are Mark Anthony Richards made a huge play yesterday. I mean, all these guys. I went with a buddy of mine who had never been to a UCF game before. I can't remember how many times I turned to him and said, "Oh yeah, that guy transferred when Gus came here. That guy transferred in this
Bowser.
season." Like Bowser.
I mean,
of course,
Bowser
is one of them.
wouldn't have been here with Josh Heupel's team.
Of course not. Yeah.
Or Scott Frost's team. I mean, he's just not that kind of a team.
I think he's playing the hand that he was dealt this season very well. And one of those hands that he was dealt is that a lot of injuries, and we're working through that as a team.
And a lot of players that do not fit what he wants to do, what he really wants to do. But he's made do, and that's what the good coaches do. They make do with what they've got, especially when you're a new not a new head coach, but a new head coach at a school.
Right.
There's nothing that you can do except take those players that were there when you got there. And then you have to figure out who's who, because you weren't paying attention to them, during the regular season or any other time. You were paying attention to the guys that you had on your team.
Yeah.
So very quickly, he was hired late too. That's another thing. You have to really figure it out. And has a brand new defensive coordinator, which came with him as well. He was one of his players who has taken a while to learn his game. But his game is awesome.
Yeah.
Our defense, compared to years in the past, is light years ahead of especially the last couple of years.
Yeah, they've just been explosive over the last 5 weeks.
And
really.
they're just going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting better at the end of the season. They're getting better when a lot of teams don't get better. this is a really big deal. And Gus says it all the time. He's made it a really big point to say this about the UCF's team getting better in the second half of the season. And normally you don't see that. Look at SMU. Look at some of these teams that were really good in the first part of the season, and they're really starting to suck now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's what happens. Teams, fall off in the end. Well, we're getting better in the end. If it, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah,
starting to rant a little bit.
And it's important for all the listeners to understand. Like, we're not. We know that Gus has a ton of talent that he inherited on this team, but we have a talented players on this team. But it's about molding that talent into the scheme that you want to play, and also utilizing that talent within your capabilities as a head coach. And so I think he's done that well. About as well as we can expect with the injuries that we've had.
I also think that there's a lot of talent on this team that hasn't gotten on the field yet as well.
Fair.
Heupel was not a good recruiter. His whole thing was not didn't do very well recruiting. Mm-hmm. But I think there are players that were recruited and that are there that will be, good. Some freshmen, I don't know. I feel like there are definitely, we've got it's all going to look up in the next couple of years. This year was bound to be a transition year. We knew that it's a transition year. You have a new head coach. He's playing with players. We've explained it a million times. Don't have to explain it again.
But we also had a top 5 in the nation quarterback go down. I mean, that can't be said enough. Yeah, that can't be said enough.
Or fourth game of the year, whatever. Yeah. I mean, no team can do what they do after you have your number one quarterback go down, your number one wide receiver go down, hasn't been back yet, neither one of them. Your two of your very best defensive linemen that are also some of the best players on the team.
No doubt.
Your running back that was really doing good and just can run over everybody when he's healthy. You just can't expect much after that. So, all right, we'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit about an SMU game coming up, and we're going to do our Tijuana Flats hot take of the week when we come back.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each and every week on the Knightline Sports Network for the AAC Report. We bring you in-depth coverage of each school in football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, golf, tennis, and more, as well as bring you insider interviews and focus in on the biggest games and news of the week. That's all right here each week on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Knightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this.
We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys?
My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong, spoiler alert, until Piggy dies.
Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Yeah. Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Knightline Sports Network.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Knightline at Night. I'm Andrew Phegley, live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chadbar Law. We have Jeff Allen that does a show on the Knightline Sports Network, and it's called the AAC Report. He talks about all the rest of the teams that play in the AAC. We're going to hear from him real quick.
Time now to check the rest of the scoreboard around the American. Number 2, Cincinnati had 2 goal line stands at the end of the game to hold off Tulsa 28-20 to remain undefeated at 9-0 in their quest for the college football playoff. Number 19, Houston remains unbeaten in conference play at 6-0 as they rallied to beat South Florida 54-42. Brian Battie had 2 100-yard kickoff returns for touchdowns for the Bulls. Memphis held off a late rally and upsetting number 23 SMU 28-25. Seth Hennigan returned from injury to pass for 392 and 2 touchdowns. East Carolina robbed over Temple 45-3 as the Pirates get to 5-4 in the season. And in our spotlight game of the week, Navy was defeated by number 8 Notre Dame 34-6. I'm Jeff Allen. We'll recap those games, get you set for this week's action, as well as analyze Cincinnati's place in this week's college football playoff poll on the AAC report only on the Knightline Sports Network.
All right. Once again, that's Jeff Allen, and he has a show called the AAC Report on the Knightline Sports Network, knightlinesports.com, or anywhere you find podcasts. We need to talk really quickly about this SMU game right now. They are a 7.5-point favorite at home against UCF for this weekend. It'll be on ESPNU at 12 p.m. on Saturday. The ESPN matchup predictor says 69.4 chance for SMU, 30.6 chance for UCF. I don't believe that. So we're going to do our Tijuana Flats hot take of the week here real quick. Welcome to the Tijuana Flats hot take of the week. Visit TijuanaFlats.com for takeout or delivery, or visit your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. All right, Tijuana Flats hot take of the week is where we give our score predictions. I'm going to let Ben go first since he hasn't been here for a while. Ben, what do you think? UCF at SMU Mustangs.
I think that we're going to be able to get pressure on their QB, Mordecai, and it's going to be a close one. 27-24 UCF is my prediction.
All right, Roger.
All right. The SMU so far averages 25, gives up 25.7 per game. We're giving up 24, but they give up a whole lot more yards. So I feel like we take advantage if we get a few turnovers. I'm going to call it 32-28 UCF because I think we're going to need every one of those 32 points to get the win.
All right. I'm going to say 24-17. 24-17. It's going to be a close one, but we're going to pull it off somehow. I think our defense is playing really good. I think we're going to hold them. We're going to do something crazy out there. But I have a feeling 24-17. So that's going to be it for me. I hope, that this, we can do this. They have a great team with Tyler Mordecai, or is it Tyler? I don't know what his name is. Mordecai.
Yeah, Mordecai is his last name. Yeah, that's all.
Tanner.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Tanner
I saw
Mordecai.
T. I did. Tyler. Travis.
Terrible
whatever.
Mordecai.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, he's not terrible.
No, he's not. He's a former 5-star.
Yeah, and he played behind. He was a transfer from Oklahoma to SMU, and he played behind, I think, 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks.
Yeah,
so you can't be horrible when you do that. I don't care if you're the backup or the backup's backup when you have that kind of coaching going around you. All right, that's it for us. I'm Andrew Phegley. Go Knights.
Charge on.
Charge on.